Good afternoon, everybody. Before we begin, may I kindly request everyone to keep their phones in silent mode. Today is the 14th Foundation Day of IISER TVM. It's truly an honor to welcome our Board of Governors Chairman and the founding directors of IISERs and NICER to celebrate this occasion with us. We are thrilled to have eminent scientists, Professor Arvind A. Natu, Chairman, Board of Governors of IISER Thiruvananthapuram and IISER Kolkata, Professor Narayanasamy Sathyamurthy, the founding director of IISER Mohali, Professor Krishna N. Ganesh, the founding director of IISER Pune and IISER Tirupati, Professor T.K. Chandrashekar, the founding director of NICER Bhubaneswar, and Padma Shri Professor Vinod K. Singh, the founding director of IISER Bhopal. They join us today to reflect on their journey with the IISERs and NICER and the lessons that we all can learn from that. I now invite our director, Professor J.N. Murthy, to deliver the welcome address.
Respected Professor Arvind Natu, the Chairman, Board of Governors, distinguished founding directors of 3 IISERs, in fact I should say 4 IISERs and 1 NICER, fellow colleagues, adjunct and visiting faculty, staff members, beloved students, and IISER fraternity as a whole. Very good evening to all of you. Indeed, it's a very unique day in the history of IISER Thiruvananthapuram, I would say. I do not think that we will have with us 4 founding directors of sister organizations on one day, and also the founding director of NICER, which is an equivalent of IISER, with us. So from that point of view, this 14th Foundation Day indeed assumes a very significance. There's no question about it. That said, well, Foundation Day, what is it all about? Why do we celebrate? What is it that we are expected to do here? One could reflect on. I think the founding directors of, as I said, 5 IISERs, NICER, are going to talk about their journey with IISERs and will have a lot of lessons for us. In fact, I wanted to say, share their wisdom with us for our betterment. But then I thought not many would be here because nobody wants to learn these days. So I said, I included lessons for all of us. I think every director here has been associated with ISIS for more than 10 years. It should be a veritable joy for us to have these eminent scientists in their own right amongst us. Speaking of, why do we celebrate the Foundation Day? Just to look back, reflect on how our own institution has come into existence, the hardships that people have sort of gone through in getting to a stage that we see as our institution today. In the process, maybe identify the lacunae and strategize ourselves in pursuit of bettering our standing. I think that should be the significance of Foundation Day. I think from that point of view, I thought I have not seen myself really a large number of pictures of our institution and how it looked like when this was conceived, the area was conceived, and the efforts were put in to sort of transform what otherwise was a jungle. Even today, we speak of IISER Tirunanthapuram having or being nestled in a thick forest around. In fact, a few days back, and I'm sure all of you know that we had the scare of some leopard having been spotted around. So it's indeed a jungle around. So a jungle having been transformed into what you see as a beautiful campus today is no mean effort. There are several that have put in a tremendous amount of efforts, and the efforts are still continuing. And why not we see how this institution came into being? So I asked my colleague, who has been a vanguard of the IISER Tirunanthapuram, Anil, where is he? I think he's around somewhere. I think due honors to him, I credit to him, and he supplied me. In fact, I have not had time. Give me whatever slides that you have of our institution from the beginning. And I would say that I think he joined in 2009. Given that the institution came into existence in 2008, I think some have been there from the inception of the institution. So he gave me a bunch of slides. I think I must admit, no, I will not be formal here. Let me be myself. I think my colleagues tell me, I think, best comes out when you are really your own self than unduly and unnecessarily preparing. I have absolutely not prepared. In fact, this is what it is, just about half an hour back. So let me take you through things. I don't think that if I have to speak of IISER Tirunanthapuram, I need to articulate, because this is something that I'm living with on a day-to-day basis. It's just that I said the significance of Foundation Day is to basically recount how this institution has come into being, and then look at ourselves today, and also share with you and how is it that I'm looking at this institution as we go along in the nearest future to come, right? So I have a few slides. They are really, really wonderful. In fact, if you look at them, one wonders, is this the place that we had this institution, really? Right? So let me take you through. This is from 2009 to 2019, right? And here it is. The campus was started, its operations were started in the Transient campus, CET, and that's how it was on admissions day in 2009, as supplied by Dr. Anil Shazi. Of course, Onam is the typical festival of Kerala. That's how it was celebrated. And the first director, Professor Jem, is there. And of course, the first Foundation Day was indeed celebrated by having Professor C.N.R. Rao, the Bharat Ratna, in the transient campus in the city. So that's how basically the Linux cluster inauguration was around 2009. I think I suppose Professor C.N.R. Rao was the one who inaugurated that. And this transit campus even had the Nobel laureate Sir Roger Penrose in 2011. And of course, all the festivals. Isha is a cultural festival of IISER Tirunanthapuram. And of course, this is how the transit campus functioned in 2011, and the operations continued in the transit campus. And the campus had even ECG Sudarshan, of course, he's the mentor of PhD mentor of Dr. Anil Shaji. And the virtual classrooms began to even operate at CAT, and the efforts for creating the permanent campus began, and this is how it looked like, right? And below the current spillway, and that is the site that you see as a 1,000-bed hostel, what we call today as basically Anamuri blocks. And you have the futsal and all that you play around. And I want you to stretch your imagination to sort of fathom yourself as to what kind of efforts must have gone in, uh, starting from that situation. And this is how the Makki Bridge, I don't know how many of you know of this Makki Bridge. Anil probably will explain to you. It's one of the bridges that we see of water flowing. And the main gate area, that's how it looked, right? There was a Bonacard main road, and they had to sort of construct the road and create the entrance. And of course, we have now the second gate, which looks really beautiful. And the first building on campus site is where you have the student activity center, and this is where the health center really functioned. Of course, after I joined in 2019, the transient medical center, health center was moved to its own building, and this was vacant. And later, it's a history now. We got to transform that into what we call today as Students Recreation Center. Of course, the first brick being laid for the campus in the phase one on 16th March 2011, and this is looking from physical sciences building to the biological sciences building, and this is how it was. What you see basically the three monumental structures where our scientific operations are sort of carried out. So we can go further. There is a CSB computer lab. Computer lab is the left side of the entire building. That's how it was. And this is how CSB by 2012. You can see there. Okay, we can move on. This is Agastya Hostel, the first phase, in front of the Ponmudi Agastya common dining hall. And of course, the Professor Jemmis addressing the students, I suppose, and a flag hosting day in front of CSB. And we can move further, the CSB Chemical Sciences building, and that's how it looked like in 2012. I will now sort of fast forward 2013, and the CSB in 2015, and the CIF, Central Instrumentation Facility, and that's how it was. Ponmudi Agastya, the CDH1 by 2015, and of course by 2016 we had the then Minister for Human Resources and Development, MHRD, Srimati Smriti Irani was here in January, and that's what the pictures are. By May 2016, this is how the campus looked like. You can see it's entirely amidst the forest. The spillway taking shape in 2016, and CDH 1 and 2 hostels ready for first batch in June 2016. And slowly, the chemistry, from what I'm told, moved here in 2016, by late 2016. By late 2018, I think the biology was the one to move towards the end, and the building just existed. And of course, we had to sort of build laboratories, and the operations got stranded for quite some time. And of course, then we started basically making the laboratories. I think Professor Vinod Singh, the Padma Shri here, and was here. I think that was in March 2018, and he's the one who inaugurated Central Dining Hall 2 in Anamudi block. And by March 29, this is what we had, right? That is the CSB. Basically, labs to be were ready to be occupied. There's the health center, was almost in the final stages, but then operations had to be moved in here, and the construction was still going on here. The guest house internal works were not done; only a part was ready, and we had to do quite a bit. And of course, this is how some little landscaping was done, and this is how the array of ESB, CSB, and the biology looked like. And can you now see the lectural complex that we are in today? That was in April 2019. And you see the structure there. And is the building that we are sitting today after 3 years. And there's a residential at the same time. The residential quarters, basically, there were two blocks were ready, and some faculty had moved in. And the third block and what we call as a D block were almost getting constructed, and they had to be sort of brought into a shape for occupation. And there's the the shopping complex. When I came here, and there was a rubble everywhere, of course. And this is I talked about the guest house with all the scaffolding and internal works remaining, and this needed to be taken forward. And our institution became basically the organizing institution of the JAC in 2019. Soon after I took over, and I forgot, of course, I had not had any experience in admissions. Of course, I had functioned for JE, and this was not very easy because we ran into 2000. I think Professor Ganesh and others here would vouch for the fact that the number of meetings that we had, because we got intercepted by COVID terribly, and none of us had known what this would be like, and nothing could be planned. And at every stage, we had to basically amend our own functioning, which continued. By the time we completed the admissions, it was like November end, right? We had at least maybe about 14 or 15 meetings of the IAB, IISER Admission Board meetings, which was unprecedented. And in that connection, they were here at that time. And that's what you see, at least the four directors there. Now, presently, I think I don't need to show you this because you saw the picture. There's basically the regular one to take you through what we created subsequently, despite the fact that we had pandemic prevailing at its zenith, but we somehow pushed ahead, and we were nudging every operation to sort of make the campus living really wonderful. In fact, to begin with, there was only one restaurant called Suleimani, and people had nowhere to go, and they would run up to the entrance to get some samosa and roti from this guy from Gorakhpur. And we decided, no, why not we bring him inside and make sure that the food that is supplied is hygiene. And subsequently, we created a lot of a lot of eateries. Now we have a food court, and we created a lot of sports facilities. I suppose the students don't have many complaints. And I would like to say that our campus is definitely sufficiently well contained. Of course, there are some unfinished activities. If I am to talk about what they are, we would like to have some kind of a faculty launch for faculty to sort of cut loose sometimes when they are exhausted from their monotony, get together with some colleagues and have a coffee. And that is missing in our campus. And this has been planned where we have that tasty. And before my term comes to an end, I really would like to see that this is given a shape. Anamudi block exists in isolation and connected with a lot of, one having to sort of traverse a lot of distance. And I would like to avoid that, maybe have a, not tunnel, but bridge, and, cut across the entire distance and to access your CDH1 easily. And I would like to really see that, this is done. And the sports facilities, and I'm sure many of you would have seen that even the tennis court is coming up. And the students badly miss a large football ground, although the one that we have, although we do have one, but it's not something that is easily something to play on because, you hurt yourselves. And something has to be done for that. Of course, our priorities are the lowest, and my priorities are the lowest. I would like to see, at least before I leave, I sit in one of those offices just across. There's the administrative building whose work has come to a grinding halt. and hopefully we'll resume that work. And just behind is basically the academic block where we're supposed to have undergraduate laboratories, and that has work also has been stopped. I think with time, I would like to see that we take up that and finish up. So there we do have a few. Otherwise, I think I would like to say that our institution is basically displaced from the city by about 45 kilometers. And one would think that probably where are we heading? Those that are coming to the IISER Thiruvananthapuram would wonder midway through because you don't know where we are heading. In fact, when I went it first time, I started suspecting the drivers. Are these guys really taking me to the institution, or they have some plan? It was never forthcoming. And given that such isolated is this place, once you enter, it's really a kind of a oasis, I would say. They're well contained. Our guest houses are really well endowed. And many have told me that, they're completely at home, and our campus is fantastic to live in. There is a sense of pride. Okay, I think facilities wise, I think I should talk about how well are we set up. Infrastructure, I talked about. How are we doing in academics? Right? What are the programs that we have? Typically we continued with the physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology. I sort of rushed through, but then we needed to expand academically. And 2020, we sort of created a brand name in the name of I Square Sciences. Given that NEP was going to come, you can trust me. No, I was not looking at NEP, but there's an idea that I had back in IIT Kanpur that I wanted to, sort of make the education very interdisciplinary and what kind of programs can be really shaped up. In fact, I mooted this in chemistry department, but did not go forward. But the moment I came here, we created what is called as the I Square Sciences, and which I'm sure you all know because the first batch is into third year now. So integrated interdisciplinary sciences in all 4 disciplines, and we also started data sciences. The data sciences faculty are being added now. One faculty has joined already, Dr. Priyanka, and at least 2 to 3 faculty are on the way. And slowly we'll be adding the faculty. So that's a new addition, new programs. Come to 2021, we needed to expand to the BSMS courses that we had. Of course, we already had integrated PhD and PhD courses, and we were the first to start MSc with a curriculum that is state of the art. Absolutely having teams of people taking well into consideration the changing scenario in the educational landscape. We crafted, I would say, the syllabus that is really globally competitive, right? The kind of course that we have. And I'm very certain that our graduates are going to be sought after at the end of 2 years. Come to 2022, again, we, as part of the academic expansion, we have initiated, put in place everything that is necessary, but it's only sort of held up at the ministry. The clearance should happen anytime. This is about Earth, Environmental, Sustainability Sciences, EESS. And why sustainability? Of course, going by UN's developmental, the sustainability goals. Sustainability is a big thing, and bringing sustainability into, factoring sustainability into the curriculum is a way forward. And this is supposed to be a futuristic in its sense. So all the papers have been submitted. I think it's not long before that we will have EESS. In fact, the building, its operations have already begun. This department is a school, is going to come up in what was earlier called a campus school, adjacent to the director's residence in a very isolated location. That is to speak of basically academic activities. Insofar as the student strength is concerned, I think when I joined, it was about 1100. Let me give you the pictures. Around at the end of 5 years of the first director's stay here, the strength was around 450 to 500. I have exact number. And it became at the end of the second term of Professor Ramakrishnan as the director. By the time I came here, the strength was around 1100. By the way, my term is still 1.5 years away, so it's not that I'm on the way out, right? And now our strength is about 1,700, roughly, by taking into consideration the new batch that is going to join. And if you look at by the time I leave, and 2024, April, May, I think we should be looking at about 2,000. A jump by about 800 to 900 students. The number of PhD in our campus, of course, IPhD and PhD is about 400. 1150 is BSMS, if I factor the incoming batch. And we have 150 BSMSs, 2-year students. So, in terms of the student strength, we are gradually ramping up. And the mandate for any institution of this kind is about 3,000 to be counted as an institution of some standing and strength. From that point of view, I think in about 5 years from now, our institution, provided the Ministry of Education is gracious enough to allocate the faculty positions, the campus should be expanding into a strength of about 300. Residences, we have about 88 residences in the campus, and which is where we have submitted the appraisal report for exit. I think the students would not understand what it is, but pretty soon I think we should be planning expansion, not only in terms of the residences, even in terms of the hostels as well. This is basically a projection. Given that, where do we stand in terms of our visibility? And why am I talking about all this on the foundation? I showed you how we started. And a huge amount of fund has flown to the campus. This campus has been, in true numbers, has been created with about 880 crores, right, for constructions. Cap it up with about 300 crores for the research equipment. I think IISER TVM certainly can boast of state-of-the-art machinery for research in the disciplines that we have on campus. Well, while this has happened, the campus is already 14 years. The initial equipment is basically wearing out, and now we have to worry about kind of sustaining the facilities that we have, and by taking into consideration the developments, we need to augment as well. And which is where I would like to acknowledge, under the guidance of Professor Arvind Natu, I think we have been connecting really well with the ministry. Ministry has been really kind. In fact, I would like to inform, to the happiness of all of you, that just we are processing orders to the tune of about 15 to 18 crores for this year, right? This is basically in terms of augmenting the infrastructural facilities. To speak of in chemistry, maybe a single crystal X-ray diffractometer as an additional one. I think in biology, very expensive one, the fact sorter, right, Dr. Hema? I think in physics, maybe the SEM with high configurations, costing to the tune of 250 crores, plus several others. In the process, even undergraduate laboratory requirements are being upgraded, computer laboratories are being created. We have in our campus, I didn't mention about this, we have 2 centers we created, and both of them are into existence, have come into existence in 21-22, namely the HPC with about 9 crores of kind of outlay, and we have created what is called as a CAMRI, Center for Advanced Materials Research with International Engagement. It's a beautifully sort of has been developed. I don't know how many of you have seen this. It's a place to go and explore. I know how the center has been created. This is about the research one, right? So, what did I want to tell you more about? Expectations. I think pretty much everything. I think this institution now, with so much spent, we are accountable. We are certainly accountable to the society, and with the whose tax, the structure has come into place. And it is here that I said, we have to strategize. Our faculty strength is about 84, vis-a-vis an institution that was started at the same time like IISER Bhopal, which has a faculty strength of close to about 150. For some reasons, unfortunately, the faculty strength has not expanded. But I think we started off somewhere around 63, 64 when I came. It's now come to 784. We'll be filling another 14, 15 faculty this year, taking the total to about 100 faculty. Another 40 faculty, about 38 to 40 faculty positions should be released by the ministry. If that becomes a reality, I think pretty soon, in about 2 years, we will have the faculty strength of about 140. Speaking of the faculty, it goes by certain ratio that this staff number also likewise should be raised. Right now, we are operating with about 74 or 75 staff members. Even this should develop as well. Well, research output is what basically makes the institution known to the community. It's the student community is what will make world know the quality of education that we provide. In other words, it's the students that are ambassadors of our institution to project the kind of education that we offer, the kind of training that we provide. Staff is a pillar for sustaining any operations. If some travel bill is submitted but doesn't get processed after 3 months, and it's very easy to sort of attract the notoriety. But I think ours is the only institution I can proudly say that we release our travel grants in 2 days, 2 working days. I think there's the feature from day one in this institution of the joint that none should get back to the admin. And I think I must compliment our staff members, despite the fact that I think we should raise basically, clap for these guys in the staff. Many of them have been really living up to the expectations. There's no question. I think several tell me, Mark, even before leaving, the TA bills have been cleared. Like, my God, I can't believe that this happens. It happens, and making things happen that one cannot imagine is where the credit is, and that's where I pride about. We want to set a standard, not only in terms of our functioning, but in terms of the quality of education that we provide to the students, which is where I want to invite all you, the student community. As I said, you guys are the basically ambassadors of this institution. I want to cater to every need of you, every demand of you. But my demand is that you stand, you stand meritorious and be competent and earn the reputation and image that the institution demands from you. Right? At the same time, I also would want to demand from the faculty. It's not enough. Our institution is really well endowed. In fact, the pressure should be more on the faculty given that the number is scant. But with the scant number, if the performance cannot really make up, then we will not be seen. So even with the scant number, when you produce more quality and better quality and more numbers is when our institution can earn that reputation. Right? We had about 140 publications in 2019. And come to 2021, we have surged up to about 280. I think we should be around 300 publications. With constantly the faculty being added, we are still not into the bracket of near 100. But I would like to sort of demand from my faculty colleagues that each of you should pull up your socks and contribute to enhancing the visibility of our institution. This is what I want to sort of expect from you on its Foundation Day. Having told you about the hardships that we have gone through, and consolidating the fact that today ours is certainly one of the best institutions. And we are well endowed. We are doing really well, but we need to push ourselves into much better and higher trajectory of growth. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. But before I end, and I said this, we have to have lessons for ourselves. And we have with us, I said, our own DOJ chairman is also from IISER family, coming from IISER Pune. So we're going to listen to these 5 eminent scientists, and hopefully we'll have lessons from them to upgrade ourselves and to resolve ourselves for betterment of our own self personally, and at the same time contributing to advancing and enhancing the image of our institution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Murthy, for recounting our inspiring growth and your vision for the Institute. I'm pleased to invite our Board of Governors Chairman, Professor Arvind Natu. He obtained PhD from National Chemical Laboratory, Pune University in 1976, followed by postdoctoral research at Germany, Sweden, USSR, and Poland. His research expertise is in organic and bioorganic chemistry and combining chemistry with biology in drug discovery. After being a scientist at NCL for about 30 years, he joined IISER Pune in 2006. As a task force member, he has been involved in the conceptualization, planning, and execution of IISER Pune and IISER Tirupati. For his contributions in fostering Indo-German collaborations, he was honored with the Cross of Merit, one of the highest tributes paid to the foreigners by the German government. Thank you, Professor.
leaders of academia sitting in the front row, the students sitting at the back who would like to come to the front row some or the other day, and faculty members and IISER TVM community. I have one distinction between all the scholars and me, that I was never a director of any. And all the people who are really there, the real leaders, these leaders are the really torch bearers of the science education in this country. And therefore, I heartily welcome them. And as Professor Murthy has requested, I just add very few things. Okay. I don't have many slides, as I don't have any anil in. I could not catch hold of any anil from IISER Pune right now. But still, I would like to use this occasion to bring some facts, especially for the students. My whole talk is practically keeping the student community in mind. My dear students, you are in the paradise, educational paradise. You may have your own internal problems, but as such, on the Indian scenario, you are in the educational paradise. You have one of the best labs, best faculty members, best infrastructure, and that has come. But that has come with a very hard work, as Professor Murthy showed some of the slides. That has really come through a very, very hard work of infrastructure. And when all the directors will show you the history and all other things, you will realize how difficult it is. So I wanted to stress out what you are seeing has not been very easy when which is served on the platter. There are a lot of efforts have gone into that. And with this, one more thing I wanted to build, that buildings alone cannot build an institute. You need to have, there are three factors. One is the student, another is the faculty members, and the third comes the infrastructure. So in all these things, now IISER stands well organized and all other things. But when IISER started in 2006 in Pune and Calcutta, we got an order in February 2006, if I remember, Ganesh may correct me, that we had to start the classes in 2006, 1st of August 2006. Place was more or less known, but that was in such a state that even I cannot show you the slides. It was so-called Merado building in NCL campus. And a task force was set up in NCL to take up those actions. I don't want to go into the philosophy of IISER, how they were established on the, because these learned leaders will more talk about it, what for it was established and all other things. So when we were told there is a task force established in NCL, this was somewhere around May 2006, and we were asked to start the classes by 1st of August 2006. If you see his first 4 or 5 names, Professor K and Ganesh, who is out and out is an IISER man. Saurabh Paul, who was there then NCL gentleman, also became an IISER man. K. Vijay Mohanan, also become IISER man. So all these people who were in the first task force in 2006, they later on joined or were connected with IISER and all. It was really a daunting task because nothing was known, what to do. So this task force led by Ganesh, and I forgot to mention, this has been signed by Dr. Shivram. So I must mention, these people came and that they gave, we were really in enchanting atmosphere. Every day, every meeting, every division of labor, we wanted to have classrooms. Everything was come something, come library, come lecture hall, office, come teaching room, and all other things. This was fitted in the first 10,000 square feet that I showed. So that itself was a big task in those days. So as I said, student, how to select? Now admission procedures are well set and we talk on procedures. So on one, I don't know about which month, we get an order, Ganesh told that we are going to Calcutta to select our students. That was from IIT stream. And a group of one fellow from Calcutta and one fellow from Pune sat in a room, and our job was to say, oh, please come to Pune. Pune is better. We are having this facility. What facilities we have, we don't know. But we had. So there was a competition. So we did it. Second round was done in NCL. And that time, you believe me, there was no KVPY, no straight. It was from the Olympiad, Chemistry Olympiad, Physics Olympiad. And we took few students from that. Ultimately, we landed with 46 students in the first batch. I think, if I remember correctly, 34 in Calcutta. So this was the situation. Faculty was complete. There are hardly 5 or 6 full-fledged faculty. Rest of them we had to hire, orient them, because these regular college teachers, which local people we hired, they were not oriented towards this. They thought it is another college, and there was no distinction or anything of that sort. So this is how we adjusted. Main thing came over the syllabus. Syllabus committee, if I remember correctly, Ganesh may correct me, it was practically who's who in science at that time. It was about more than 40 people got together and designed a syllabus. Perhaps since they were outstanding scientists, they made syllabus probably which fits in for Cambridge or Oxford. Next day, when everybody realized it has to be catered to the students who are coming from 12th standard class. So again, it was revised by taking the textbooks of 12th standard, and thus it came things. Interdisciplinary thing was the first thing, and I still remember how biologists used to rush into the chemistry room to introduce biology for the designing of bioorganic chemistry or chemical biology. So it was really a new experience for everybody, and because of the leadership who was clear about it, what are the aims and objectives on, we didn't have any problem to start. So the syllabus was ready, everything was ready, teachers somehow were made ready, and we started on 1st of August, the first lecture by Professor Milind Gatwe on the topic, what is the life? So this really, from 1st of February to 1st of August, everything was simulated and taught. There was really an achievement. So this, later on, we shifted to other campus and all the things. Professor Ganesh will certainly elaborate on that. There is no doubt about it. Now, if you think of today, admissions are well settled. There is no problem at all. Only it starts with the advertisement and everything is laid down. So there is no problem. Faculties now accept that all IISERs have less faculty. There is a real problem. But that can be solved. Third is now they have completely very good infrastructure. And with the result, national ranking in NIRF and other nature index and everything, they are doing very well. There is absolutely no doubt about it. But there are certain things, especially for the student community, what I'm getting from IISER. I'd like to, just before that, just for the sake of, this is the first requisition. You see here, number one, 1st June 2006, vertical laminar flow. This was the intent number one from all the IISERs. Why I'm calling all the IISERs? Because IISER Calcutta started little bit late. So we can claim that this is the first thing. And this was the Ganesh signature in those days. This is what I wanted to just talk. Perhaps this is the last slide that I have. What you get from IISER. Perhaps you are not entered into any other educational institute. Therefore, perhaps you don't know comparatively where you are. But you talk to your friends. Best is true academic ambience. True academic ambience in terms of training, that is teaching, as well as the research, where the students are free to express, give feedbacks for the faculty members. So this is one of the most ideal system to control control the academic standards of the institute. Second, real meaning of interdisciplinary training. Before IISER started, I never say that nobody was running interdisciplinary courses. There were few. But in true sense, as an US, in modern management language, USP of IISER was interdisciplinary. And that was from day one. In the sense, generally earlier all courses, chemistry, biology, so 50% chemistry will be taught by somebody and 50% biology was taught by somebody. Even when I studied bioorganic chemistry by Kohn and Stump, somebody taught us organic chemistry, somebody taught us the biology part. So it was not like that. So true meaning of interdisciplinary science was really available. Interaction with 12th class students, their problems and solutions. This I was personally benefited because when we were in NCL, we were talking about PhD students. Of course, myself and Ganesh, we were going to the Pune University for teaching to MSc biotechnology classes. So we had some. So interaction with the 12th class students, their problems and solutions. I don't want to go into details because that was a big counseling session. Ground reality of school education system and improvements. This was also experience according to me. And what are the ground situation? Ground situations are terrible. That much I can tell you. Career guidance, counseling with groups and families. I feel this is where I would like to just spend 2 minutes on it. When we started in 2006, got those 41 or 42 students, parents came on rainy days, and several people, since I was looking after admission, they came and I don't know what is the first batch has not come out. I don't know how I pacified them. Fortunately now, IISERs are well established and I don't have to cut a sorry figure now. I can proudly say I have a famous coinage for that. I said, your boy or son will never come back to you and ask what he should do in life. That kind of confidence will be given by the IISERs, and so there is no problem. So that kind of activity, counseling, opportunity to work in practically all the departments. This is also important because if a chemistry guy teaches, he goes to any college, he has to only work in chemistry. There was nothing else. So this was there, and broadening the vision and beyond. As I said, what next? These all stories, okay. This was started, fortunately, ably led by the very able people. What next? I personally feel, as Vinod Singh somebody sometimes said, when I talk to the people, they say this is just a drop in the ocean. You are doing very well, okay. You are just a drop in the ocean. What kind of community you are, student community you have? 1,500 students, 1,700 students. I personally feel it should go to 5,000 students. First, combinedly all the 7 IISERs, and then perhaps kind of size we envisage, and that is also envisaged in the Meru that is predicted in the INI. Second is, we are best in the national ranking, there is no problem. But we need to come inside in global ranking one of the days, and with this kind of infrastructure, I'm sure, considering that just we are 15 years old or 14 years old, I'm sure that with these numbers, we'll be able to come to this thing. Two more things which you have been insisting. One is the research is fantastic, there is no doubt. But we need to enter into translational research for the industry academia interaction. This word has been churned out so much that it has lost its original meaning. Up till now, it was okay because we were young and we were perhaps not in a position to shake hand on a basis with the industry. But now practically we are, and I think we should have more of translational research in the morning also. This was well backed up by the directors. And third thing, and most important, can we instead of job seekers, can we be job givers? That is not far away, because with the incubation centers and startups and all other things will come. So my vision or the mission that will be declared will come later on. But with number of students, global ranking, translation research, and job instead of job seeker, job. I don't think the day is far ahead, and I don't think I'm sure that IISER TVM will take a leading part. What I wanted to just say, I said the philosophy and all other things will be described by all the directors, and I would like to just stop here with just showing. Can you imagine? This is the first day of IISER. With myself, Professor Ganesh, R.G. Bhatt, and Nilay Gaho. So this was the first picture in the Venture Center where we started. And that's all I want to say. Thank you very much for allowing me to just express some of my thoughts. Thank you very much.
Professor Natu. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome Professor Narayanasamy Sathyamurthy, a theoretical chemist who has made outstanding contributions to the field of chemical and molecular reaction dynamics. He completed his PhD from Oklahoma State University, USA in 1975. After his postdoctoral research at University of Toronto, Canada, he joined IIT Kanpur in 1978. As the founding director of IISER Mohali from 2007 to 2017, he was instrumental in its growth and establishment. His honors include the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award, J.C. Bose National Fellowship, and Sir C.V. Raman Award. He is a fellow of the Indian Academy of Sciences, Indian National Science Academy INSA, and the World Academy of Sciences TWAS. I would like to invite Professor Sathyamurthy to address us.
Thank you for the kind introduction. I didn't expect to be introduced that long, because it is your foundation day. Dr. Murthy has told me about 15 minutes. So give me a signal when I'm done 15 minutes, okay? Well, I want you to monitor. And that's how it is. Well, not today, but in 2017, when I left IISER Mohali, this is how it was. My colleague Samrat Mukhopadhyaya sent me this picture soon after I left. You know, each one of us, when I say each one of us, each one of the founding directors was selling a dream. We have to sell what is the best. I said, look, I used to tell Jamis, the founder director of IISER Trivandrum, when it is done, yours will be the most beautiful campus. And you can see today, it is the most beautiful campus. Of course, when you talk about, so thanks to Jamis, thanks to Ramakrishnan, thanks to Murthy for their sustained. Of course, when I talk about IISER Mohali, I say it is the most beautiful campus. And it is. It is. I tell them, look, it is at the foothills of Shivalik. What more can you ask? And such a green. And I leave it for you to. When these hostels were up, people thought that some five-star hotel was coming. And I felt honored. But one monsoon later, there were seepages. That's a reality. Anyway, so before I get into it, I must formally thank Murthy for giving me this opportunity to come in front of you. And I think he said reminisce about our IISER Mohali is one of the sister IISERs. And I always used to tell TKC, there are IISERs and NICERs. But unfortunately, there's only one NICER, but it sounds nice. To say NICER is the nicer than IISER. Professor Rao, the chief architect of the IISERs, was always particular. He said you must include NICER whenever you meet. In the beginning, first couple of years, when the directors of IISERs would meet, we would invite him also. That is the way we grew up. And you heard a lot of things from Dr. Murthy, how your campus has come up. And you heard from Dr. Natu, how IISER Pune has come up. And of course, I would like to tell you how IISER Mohali came up. I have lots of pictures of how it was when it started and how it was when I left. But that has to be said in the foundation day of IISER Mohali, so I won't present it. That tells you the people behind the story. TKC, I'm sorry, I don't have your picture here. But it also tells you how we have all grown over the years. The founder director here, Sushant Gupta, then of course you see Ganesh, myself, Vinod Singh, Jamis, Ganesh again, and Vinod Singh again, and our successors. And time has 15 years have gone, depending upon how you start counting. But these were the people behind the story of IISERs. Not all of it, at least up to first 10 years. We all put together a book. This is how it looks. Of course, you see the image there. And all the five first IISER directors and the subsequent ones put together this volume for posterity to know how each IISER came up. And surprisingly, I found out that Professor Natu, who was there when the exercise was taking place, organized by Dr. Sivaram, coordinated by Dr. Natu, and Dr. Saurav Pal, who became the director of IISER Kolkata. And of course, he became chairman for IISER Kolkata as well as IISER Thiruvananthapuram. So he knows the story fully. And yet, when I found out that he does not have a hard copy of this, I said, I would present you a copy. So I will come down. I can tell many things, but I'm going to tell you a few things. how we all got work done. I used to call we were men possessed. Unfortunately, there was no woman in the team, and till this date, there is no woman director of IISER or NICER. So hopefully that will get rectified before too long. When and all, I do not know. Maybe Professor Natu would know. He told you how the meeting took place in NCL campus, and I was part of the team that made up the curriculum structure, etc. And while we were doing this exercise, Dr. Dattagupta disappeared. He asked me, where are you going? He said, oh, I'm going to the planning commission to make a presentation of the proposal. See, strange, it's yet to be approved, but we were already preparing the curriculum and planning the structure. And he was going to the planning commission to make a proposal. And we were told that will be about 500 crore for each IISER. And we were told there will be two IISERs, one in Pune and one in Thiruvananthapuram. And of course, after the formal presentation was done in planning commission, there was a meeting where Professor Rao met the Prime Minister and the Minister for Human Resource Development, Arvind Singh, and it got clear. And subsequently, of course, Ganesh, you just learned how he got IISER Pune started and IISER Kolkata got started. And then there was an announcement in Punjab by the Prime Minister that there would be one IISER in Punjab. It was interesting because Punjab wanted an IIT, it wanted an IIM, but the Prime Minister gave them an IISER. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know where it would be. He said, oh, it will be in Mohali. Why? Because it will be close to an international airport. Manmohan Singh being Manmohan Singh, he had his things, as Dr. Natu would say, he had his priorities right. That is the foundation stone laid for IISER Mohali. Probably Ganesh is the first foundation stone, right? So even though we were number 3 in the series, the foundation stone was laid first for IISER Mohali in Naipur Mohali campus before anything was known about how IISER Mohali is going to be. And you see that was in September 27, 2006. Then they went about looking for somebody. For Kolkata and Pune, they had no problem. They already had the person who would lead those teams. Now they had to look for somebody for Mohali. The first person who was asked, he said no. Second one was offered. And then he said no. Then I was asked, and like a fool I said yes. My wife keeps reminding me, you were not the first choice. Sodak may be a second choice, but Sathyamurthy was a third choice. Well, having agreed to take up the position, I must get started. I was getting restless. The secretary MHRD said, Professor, I will go with you. I said, okay. Then he said, no, I have to go to France. I'm not coming. The joint secretary will go with you. The joint secretary says, he was a student of IIT Kanpur at one time before I joined IIT Kanpur. He said, Professor, Parliament is in session. I will not be able to go, but you go and we will make the arrangement. You see how the buck is passed. And of course, having said yes, I had no choice except to go. I go to Chandigarh and I was received by Dr. Jagjit Singh at the Chandigarh railway station. And he takes me to his boss, who then takes me to Secretary Higher Education, then who arranges me to go to meet the Chief Secretary of Punjab. And of course, we had a small conversation. Wonderful man called Singh. He gave me his card and said, anytime, I said, okay, last choice, if as a last choice, I will give you a call. No. If you have a problem, just give me a call. Not too many chief secretaries will give you their card with a cell number. That was a wonderful man. Anytime I had any problem, he was there to solve. problem. And already in 2007, we were communicating through SMS. It is not easy to communicate with the chief secretary of a state and get things done, but that is the way it was. I came and saw, in spite of all the discussion with the chief secretary, he arranged a meeting and said, "Oh, we'll give you some place." Nothing is committed. If you have dealt with government officials, you can have a lot of discussion. When you come back to ask yourself, what was it that was agreed upon, you would have difficulty in figuring out what was agreed upon. So I called up the joint secretary who made me go to Chandigarh. Ravi Mathur was the name. I said, there is nothing. I can go back to Kanpur. I came from IIT Kanpur at that time. You can find somebody else. Or you arrange things, I will come back. And he said, "No, Professor, this is a commitment made by the PM to the constituency. We are committed to start class in the first week of August." I said, "Okay." See, it's interesting. The PM makes a commitment to his constituency. Here, I say, "Okay." There is no logic in this. That's kind of of course, having participated in the exercise, we already had a dream. We knew what has happened to the country's science because of the IT industry. Sathyamurthy, when he speaks, he will tell you how great it is. IT industry has changed everything for the country. And unfortunately, I do not get an opportunity to tell him what it has also done to the country. So many of you, of course, you are all here because you wanted to do science. But every one of you here, there are thousands of others who are not here because they went into IT industry. Professor Rao was very clear that we must have dedicated institutes for science, and that is how these first 5 IISERs, 2 in Kolkata, Pune, and then Mohali, and then of course Thiruvananthapuram and Bhopal got started. Now, having listened to the joint secretary that I must take up this job because the PM has made a commitment to his constituency, I went back to IIT Kanpur to come back. Then my chairman, Board of Governors, told me to give the joining report to the secretary in Delhi. I took the train from Kanpur to Delhi to go meet the secretary. And I have heard anecdotally how Dr. Gurbat Singh had gone to UGC to get money for University of Hyderabad, and for that he needed a rubber stamp. So he stopped on the way in front of the UGC building, got the rubber stamp made, and went into the UGC building. So I said I would do the same thing, get a rubber stamp made on the way to Shastri Bhavan, and I go to a shop and say, "I want a rubber stamp." He said, "Sure, likh ke de do." I write it down. Dr. N. Sathyamurthy, Director, Indian Science Education Research, Wuhan. He looks at it. I said, "Why?" "Oh, this needs authorization." I said, "I am the director." And I have this letter from MHR. These are all very strange letters. The students would not have seen. Dr. Natu and some of these people in the first row would have seen such letters. It disapproves these issues with the approval of the competent authority. You never know who is the competent authority, but that is what it is. But this guy was not impressed. He wouldn't give me the rubber stamp. I go to meet the secretary in Shastri Bhavan. He says, "Professor, he's a Punjab person, but Andhra cadre." He said, "Murthy Garu, you must be in cloud 9. I said, "No. I feel like Moses in front of Sinai desert, being left by Pharaoh." I don't know if you have seen 10 Commandments. Your generation might not have seen, or maybe you have seen. He's given a staff and 3 days ration and say, "Go rule the kingdom of cobras and scorpions." He said, No, you should be in cloud 9. Immediately calls Professor Rao, CNR Rao. But whenever I say Rao, it always means Professor CNR. Professor CNR Rao apparently said somewhere, there are so many Raos, but there is only one CNR Rao. He calls him and says, "Professor Sathyamurthy is here." He said, "Yes, how are you?" I said, "Fine, sir." "No, don't worry, everything will be taken care of. Everything will fall in place." I said, "Thank you, sir." But I had to see how, well, whatever you can use an appropriate word. Somebody says it's a PM commitment, I say okay. Somebody says you should be in cloud 9, I said okay. Somebody says things will fall in place, I say okay. So my daughter will say Balika Pakra. And that's how I felt. Well, having gotten there, now I continue the journey to Chandigarh. I'm done almost, right? I go to Chandigarh again. Dr. Jagdeep Singh comes and receives me at the station and says, "Sir, your accommodation is booked in Punjab Bhavan, and you will be state guest." In Tamil Nadu, state guest is a different meaning. I don't know how it is in Kerala, where you get free boarding and lodging. He said, "You will get free boarding and lodging, but you must pay 30 rupees per linen charge per day." I said, "Okay." Lots of interesting things I can tell you. I stayed there for 3 months. After a few days, my wife joined me. We used to be in one room, not as fancy as your guest house, but less constrained or more constrained, less fabulous. I used to say we must write a diary, life in a cell. It was a cell. It's a very nicely furnished Punjab Bhavan, and we used to get dinner in our room. I said, no, I will come to the dining room. Then I said, the reason was very simple. Almost every day the chief minister would meet with his colleagues. Punjab, people eat. I don't know how many of you are from Punjab. They know how to work hard. They know how to enjoy life. They would have their meetings. There will be khana, everything would be there. And they didn't want us to come in the way. So the food was served to us in the guest house, in the room itself. And that's how it was. Now, I don't have, with the limited time, I cannot tell too many stories, but I must come to the important point. Thank you. And that is, all these stories are fine. I told you about the rubber stamp. I met Jagdish Singh's boss. I told him I need a rubber stamp. He knew, of course, I am Murthy from South India and so on. So, Ganti Bajaya said, Kafi pilao. So he went, that I need a rubber stamp. He rings the bell, calls his PA, comes and says, Dr. Murthy ka rubber stamp. He said, okay. By the time I was done with the coffee, rubber stamp came. I said, look, there I was standing and asking to be made, and here it gets made by the time you finish your coffee. The moral of the story is you must ask for the right thing at the right place. So now the most important thing to set up an IISER is the faculty. We were not lucky enough like NCL Pune giving task force and everything, would know. I went to Punjab University to meet him. I said, Professor Kapoor, can you help me give chemistry lecture? He had just retired. He had just joined in the private university. He said, I have joined, I have committed, but I'll tell you tomorrow. So I went the next day. He said, okay, I will join. Now that you have agreed to teach chemistry, can you tell me somebody who will teach physics, somebody who will teach mathematics? He said, ask Dr. Mahajan, he also has retired. Ask Dr. Pasi, he also has retired. So I asked Mahajan. He said, yes. I asked Professor Pasi. He said, well, I can come and give the lecture, but you must arrange a transport for me. Anything these people ask, immediate answer is yes, because we want the job to be done. And then, of course, I went about getting more people, and I got Arvind and Kavita to come from IIT Madras. And they put their conditions. And I have a lot of stories to tell, but I must tell you this much. Well, I was talking to Arvind and he said, well, I am ready to come. Kavita is ready to come, but we need a letter. I said, okay, no problem. I sat there. I brought my own laptop from IIT Kanpur. I had a Tata phone data card. I sat there, typed. By the time I got a printer, I typed, printed the letter and signed and gave it to him. He was surprised. A faculty member in IIT Madras, I saw one of the colleagues had come from IIT Madras, right? Ravi, your friend was here somewhere? Okay, if maybe he has gone. See, you have to be in IIT Madras to know how bureaucratic IIT Madras. IISER Thiruvananthapuram, I don't know, I have no experience at all. But I must tell you, it is not easy to get a letter of appointment like that. But here the person was sitting in front of me, I typed the letter and signed. Much later, I learned that you have to give a file number, etc., etc. By the time, I wouldn't say the damage was done, but that's how the job was done. And of course, now I had people to. But that was not enough. One chemistry, one physics, one math, and biology. I got Dr. Bachawat to agree, but finally, Dr. Jagdeep. And your own director. I asked him, if you go to IISER Mohali, he's a wise man. He said, no. But I will help you. I said, that is enough. Helping is good enough. So I asked Murthy, can you come and teach organic chemistry? The Kapoor would teach inorganic chemistry. I can teach this. I could teach physical chemistry. Even today, I can teach physical chemistry. I said, can you teach organic chemistry? Every Friday evening, he would come. You have to take the journey from Kanpur to Delhi to Chandigarh and Chandigarh to Delhi to Kanpur to know what it means. He would come Saturday, Sunday, he will give the lectures. And then Saturday evening, Shatabdi, and then take that night train and we'll be there Monday morning to teach his classes that I'm grateful to every one of them. Some of these names I mentioned because I'm grateful to each one of them who has helped me build IISER Mohali. The proof of the pudding is in its eating. So today you know what it is. And I see that although I have in my enthusiasm had written down many things, I think I have far exceeded my 15 minutes. I would only say the next slide. Oh, I have. Oh, this is the first convocation. We were all delighted. We decided to give the honorary doctorate degree to Professor P.N.R. Rao. Yes, by the time he told me, yes, okay, I will accept it. But this is the 50th doctorate degree I am getting. But for us, it was the first and the only honorary doctorate degree IISER Mohali has given. I show this picture. You can see Ganesh somewhere here. Ganesh, where are you? There you are. Huh? So right here, Ganesh is there. And Vinod, were you there? Yeah, you had to be there. I don't see you right away because Vinod was escorting Professor Rao. And one of the reasons I show this picture is the chief guest was Minister HRM, Kapil Sibal, and he had arrived. He gets into the car. I tell him, sir, there's a small problem. He said, what is the problem? Professor Rao is not. We have to give honorary doctorate degree to Professor Rao. And there is 2 hours later, Vinod Singh escorts to Professor Rao and they reach the campus. One of the rare occasions that the minister waits for this guy. That was a kind of a respect. People like Sibal had people like Professor Rao. Of course, you see Mashelkar was the chairman board of governors. He was the second chairman. The first chairman was Professor P. Ramarao. When he had asked me if I would accept the job, I told him that, sir, if you are the chairman, I would accept the job. Times when ministers change, prime ministers change. In 2014, we had the first meeting with the minister for human resource development. She walks into the room and says, Ganesh was there, Vinod Singh was there, who else was? Jamis was there, one more, and I think Rabin Mukherjee was there. So she says, in 2014, 8 years ago, so she says from social media, that IISERs have chosen discrimination, but people want people. Clearly, each one of you have chosen to pursue science in this country. Normally, you don't get appreciation from politicians, especially from Madam Sathyamurthy. To get this statement was not easy, but it has been a satisfying experience. I have shared with you some of the experiences that I had in reaching up to the stage that IISER Mohali was when I left in 2017. I want to thank Murthy once again, and I want to thank all my colleagues for being here on this special occasion, and thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much, Professor Sathyamurthy, for the sharing with us about the humble beginnings. It's a privilege to welcome Professor Krishna and Ganesh He has immensely contributed to our understanding of biomolecular chemistry of nucleic acids, peptides, and lipids. Professor K.N. Ganesh obtained 2 doctoral degrees from Delhi University and Cambridge University, England, in 1977 and 1980. He joined as a scientist at Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology, CCMB, Hyderabad, in 1981, and subsequently moved to NCL in Pune. In 2006, Professor Ganesh became the founding director of IISER Pune. After a decade of leadership there, he again became the founding director of IISER Tirupati in 2017. His honors include the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award, J.C. Bose National Fellowship, and H.K. Firodia Vigyan Bhushan Award. Professor Ganesh is a fellow of the Indian Academy of Sciences, Indian National Science Academy, the National Academy of Sciences, and the World Academy of Sciences. I would like to invite Professor Ganesh to address us.
Thank you for that kind introduction. Let me at the outset thank Professor Murthy for creating this occasion of reunion of these founding directors. Thank you, Professor Murthy, for that. And since then, we have been having, since yesterday, we've been having a very hilarious thing, recounting our times, the serious times, but in a very jocular manner, as Professor Sathyamurthy just now illustrated it. You have to have some humor to survive these days, otherwise it's pretty difficult. But I don't think I'll be able to cut as many jokes as Professor Natu or Professor Sathyamurthy gave, but I actually take you through what happened afterwards. They talked about just the first foundation day or the convocation, but how IISER Pune itself emerged. I'm going to take you to that story in my own way. First of all, was the challenges. I think today you've all joined as social media or whatever it is, but the challenge that we faced in 2006, when nothing was known about IISERs, was first of all it was a new paradigm in science education. So convincing students and parents was not very easy. As Natu said, what is that? The user. What is the pay package? What is the pay package my ward gets? There's nothing. We also did not know what is the pay package we will get. In a sense, after taking up IISER, but there's nothing we could do. Second thing was attracting faculty. Students, they do not know how the faculty know what is IISER is about. And I firmly believe that if IISER have to succeed, they need the faculty. Faculty are the key. Even today, I believe for any education institution to succeed, faculty are the key. I'm sure my colleagues would agree with me. They are the most important component of it, because students come only after faculty join. Right? Although MHRD says first you take student, then appoint faculty. That's not right. And particularly getting senior experienced professors. I think Sathyamurthy rightly, he gave the illustration. By the time you become a professor, you are in a comfort zone, very well. You will not have any problem. Even if you have a problem with the director, anybody, you know how to overcome that. So there is no impetus for moving you to another institution, particularly coming to IISERs. And then they had competition from established schools. I think competition is the wrong word. We are kids compared to IIS and IITs. There is a question of competition, but we had to work what I call as a contract thermodynamics. Again, as thermodynamics, we had to work in IISERs to get that. And then building a new campus from scratch. I think only you saw the foundation stone. So Murthy has very nicely has given all that thing, but each has its own, pains and pleasures of getting through that. And we should know the director, we should know the procedures. Yesterday, we introduced the founding directors. Actually, we are builders and contractors. We have become, by the time you completely do that, we only know, how to deal with the contractor, CPWD team, etc. We have to acquire all that knowledge, because everything the director has taught. Creation of quality transit campus. You already saw the photograph of IISER Pune, and Sathyamurthy also said, I have visited the transit campus there, and I have seen the transit campus of IISER Bhopal. The first time I remember, Professor Vinod Singh took me. He said, it is my office. There is a single door, from outside, almost, very difficult to make out. This could be director's one. Next to that was a room with pitch dark, because that's a building which was burnt, whole building, and that has been given to IISER Bhopal. It's amazing how Vinod accepted the place, without feeling he started. I think that is the kind of conditions in which we started. So creation of quality transit campus, because students are coming. It's always August, and they will ask us if to start something in May or June. It's a very, very difficult thing. And getting the teaching, students hostels, everything, establishing academic programs. There it was not too much because we already had a blueprint and a template, and setting up of enabling administration. That enabling is very, very important. I think Sathyamurthy mentioned how the travel things are cleared in 2 days. It doesn't happen. The administration has to be enabled. I think right from the beginning we have to make clear who exists for whom. Administration exists for the faculty and the institute, or we exist for them. We have to make it very clear. I was very clear with administration about that. And creating a new education plus research culture. It is not any other college, but it is science education and research. In fact, we have Institute of Science Bangalore. Although education doesn't come, although they're part of that, but we have been given a clear mandate that it should be education and research. That is important. So they were the challenges. The leadership challenges of establishing one is, as was mentioned by Professor Natu and Professor Sathyamurthy, we had to do interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary. Nowadays you have inter, cross, multidisciplinary. I don't know what exactly is the difference, but a lot of these things are happening. We have to physics, chemistry, biology, math, sciences, humanities. So everything is there. We need to do that. And very, very important thing for the director to realize. It just so happens that most of the directors we are coming from chemistry. I think we have now 2 or 3 directors. One of them came from physics background, 2 of them came from physics background, but majority of us have come from the chemistry background. What is important for success of IISER is that you must understand the culture of each discipline. Physics is a culture, chemistry. Later on I will tell you what are those cultures. If you don't understand the culture, you won't be successful in establishing the institution. We know, in fact, even in chemistry, organic, inorganic, physical have different cycles in many times. The way in which we conduct teaching, research, exercise, different. We must know that. Requirement of research necessitates different discipline-wise, and we should know about the theory. What theory requires was experimental requirement. We need to fully understand that. And we create, enabling atmosphere for that. So main requirement, or sort of deficiency was lack of competent, senior, accomplished faculty to guide them. Because we get a lot of young faculty who have done 3 years, 4 years of postdoctoral work, they come and join. But, after that, in an institution, the teaching is a different ballgame. Teaching, pedagogy, etc. So you require people who can help. Now let me come down to understanding the discipline culture. That is very, very important. When I started with IISER Pune, just to attract faculty, we said that we should know that different faculty requires. Very commonly asked, what is the sort of grant? You can say 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, but there is peanuts actually. Some people may require more, some people may require less. Once you appoint a faculty, is my belief, and that's the way I practice in IISER Pune. Once I appoint a faculty, during the interview, I know what is the research is going to do. What does he require? I must commit for that. Otherwise, there is no point, somebody wants to create a big instrument and you give him 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs. But in fact, I used to say that your startup grant is a blank check. When I appoint you, I know what you require. It's a blank check. That's what I used to say. Now, biologists need large amounts of consumables. Biology is one area where whether you have 1 biology faculty or 10 biology faculty, you require the same thing. Refrigerator, autoclave, deep freeze, everything. Right? They share it, I'm sure biology colleagues agree. Biologists, but they require lots and lots of money for consumables. The enzymes they import, sometimes sometimes the reservoir. So we must understand that. A lot of consumables. Experimental physics needs are different because they build instruments. We have to provide them what we call pure electricity without any voltage fluctuation. And then many times they want to buy small transistors, you have to, many times purchase rules have to be changed to make them, they want it immediately. The physics needs are entirely different. And they build instruments, and I supported physicists who are building instruments because when you build an instrument, you can do an experiment which cannot be done in a commercial instrument, and that makes a lot of difference for the science. You build an instrument, you do a particular experiment, and that is very, very important. But building instruments is not very easy. It takes 2 years, 3 years, 4 years sometimes. We have built a cold atom lab in IISER Pune. It took 4 years. We had to make a 250 square feet of vibration-free floor. Nobody had the technology. We had imported technology for that. But I was convinced this faculty does that, getting 4 crores, 5 crores, we support it. Because dream was, when he does that, it makes a difference. So physicists need a difference. Chemists are, pretty, we are very ordinary people who require one rotary operator, one vacuum pump, one UV lamp to hold, and, just go publishing papers. Provide them solvent, drums, etc., vacuum pump. And of course, we require NMR, IR, UV, those kind of equipment. But yes, I think among all of them, chemists are most down-to-earth people. Maybe that's why we are made directors of different institutions. We are down to earth. We know exactly what is possible, what is not possible. Maths people, many times maths people, I find out what do they require. They're very shy. They don't tell you what they want, but they're unhappy people. And after several times, all I got to know was what they need is a blackboard. Blackboard, books, journals, and they want to have visitors. And they're the people who will convert coffee into a theorem. That is the definition. All that. If you don't understand this, you can't make, maths. They will be there grumbling, they're not happy. Sometimes, I think here mathematics may not be like that. They don't jump for the meeting, a little antisocial kind of things, etc. But they provide these things, they become very, very good. It takes time to understand their requirement. Ecologists, they want to go for field trips. They want a truck. Their first intent will be a truck or a car or a truck, kind of thing. They want sickle to, thing. And you have to liberalize your purchase rules, etc., for them to enable those field trips. Huh? Yes. So you have to understand, this is what I was saying, the culture of the discipline. The same purchase rules will not work for everybody. As a director, you have to understand, these. Now, faculty. You want to attract competent faculty to new institute, where you have no infrastructure. How do you attract a competent faculty? He has to join. Natu showed the first indent, that is for the teaching. But how do you attract them? I think if you can give them a table and chair in the transit campus, is a great achievement. It was like that. Let alone giving the thing. And they have some confidence. They join. First year, putting indent. There is no money. Then you start asking them, project, you grant, etc. I decided that the first 3 years, institute will provide you with. Use that, create your lab, publish so that grants will automatically come to you after 3 or 4 years. That was my way of looking at it. And also, as I said, I never fixed any particular X amount of money for any faculty. You have to give them what they want after having recruited them. And then we should spare faculty from spending time in the writing grant proposal for the first 3 years. That's what I said. Don't worry, we'll provide you everything. And such kind of unlimited support will give them a competitive edge. After 3 years, 4 years, they do something. After they can get a lot more money. That was what was my approach. And then give them a sense of ownership in institution building. It's very, very important. Each faculty should be involved in, not too much administration, but right from the day one, they must feel it is my institute. If somebody comes and says, what is the policy of the institute? What is institute? You are the institute. What you say becomes a policy. Initial days, we are nothing. We should not simply copy the rule books, somebody else has done, because we all want a change. So, give them a sense of ownership, right from the thing. But one other thing which happens, even now today I was telling somebody, the first, I'm sure other directors will approve, the first batch of faculty who join, 10, 12, 15, physics, chemistry, they become such great colleagues because they have nothing else. They all, pull together, they become family friends. But the subsequent batch faculty, it is not the same, because these faculties, their problems are similar, establish something, but the successive batch of faculty don't realize that, what has gone in establishment. So, they start sharing. So, they must develop a deep sense of sharing. Now, when it came to IISER Pune, I had a lot of advantages. I think Mr. Sathyamurthy told about, the kind of thing. So, one was, it had a location advantage. Where IISER was in the NCL land, you draw a 1 kilometer radius, we had about, what all we had? University of Pune, National Chemical Laboratory, Defense Laboratory, IUCA, NCBS, NCCS. There's so many institutions were around. There are 3 defense laboratories, and it's a great thing, you can call anybody anytime to give a lecture. That is, that locational advantage favored, I wish such kind of thing had been taken, but decisions are made on several other grounds, the locations of IISER. So locational advantage, you could draw faculty from different institutes. First year, CSR, NCL, they provided the support, and Dr. Mashelkar, and Dr. Mashelkar was DG CSR at that time, Dr. Shivaram. We got only about 90 9 acres and 8 acres, out of which 2 acres had been poached by somebody, so we were left with only 94 acres finally when we got it. That was on NCL land. NCL had a big piece of land. That's the greatest potential advantage we had. Although our land was very small, the other ISERs are about 100, 150, I think ISER Tirupati about 255 acres of land. I don't know whether any other ISER had, maybe ISER has much bigger land. But at that time, we had to operate only in the 94 acres, but we had no problem because there were no, we don't have to go to government for anything, etc. And I must also say that I have put intentionally Professor L. Shashidhara, who many of you know here, an important thing. I don't have any this thing saying that the director is important. I think the number 2 man is even more important. And I was very, very lucky to get L. Shashidhara, developmental biologist coming from CCMB. It is fantastic. Many times, they used to say, well, why IISER Pune is doing so much, other thing comparisons come. I used to say that I have a Shashidhara, you don't have Shashidhara. I would say that. Individually, today I can say that the kind of contribution he made as number 2 man was amazing. Taking care of faculty. And many times director can't say no. You require a person who can convey that decision to others in a diplomatic way. That's important. And creating a temporary campus is important. Building a new, creating a temporary campus, I must say, I think some of my colleagues, that is the first time where as a government institution, I could lease out an empty building from a private builder. In fact, the practice was not there. Always you had to go to another government institution, etc. We had to pay a huge amount of rent. But I decided, went to MHRD, I committed them. So I hired about more than 1 lakh square feet of building or something like that and established a state-of-art facility even in the end of second year. That was very, very important. Students, hostel, and housing. That is, our hostel was spread over half a kilometer. One flat here, another flat, another flat, another flat. We didn't have a student housing. In fact, the warden was having problem. Every day the warden has to go in the cars to make sure that at least about 10, 15 flats over a half a thing, how do you bring them for food? It was it's really very, very difficult. That's the kind of things. Each city has its own, problems. And the rapid recruitment of faculty, how soon you could get. And I had an advantage, particularly. Yesterday, Mr. Vinod Singh made a very nice statement. But what I was, member of all board of governors of all 5 ISERs. So I have seen all the 5 ISERs from day one. I used to be there in the board, so I used to know, how the board meetings are conducted, each ISERs, And one of the things I found was that Professor Dushyanta Gupta, he was a very, active person. He just don't care. He would just go about taking decisions. I learned how to be philosophical and get the job done, like Professor Sathyamurthy. Very humane, they would convince slowly. Fantastic. Professor Vinod Singh was business-like, but would get the job done. And I appreciate the positiveness of each of these advisors. And Professor Jamis, very soft-spoken voice, he had. I think there is no unique way of a director's characteristic to get the job done. You have to see each one is different, and they have different ways of doing that. So I had that being the board of governors, member of board of governors of all of them. I have attended all the first convocations, the foundation days, etc. It was, I was uniquely, and that happened because of while formulation of rules, they said that each ISER should have the director from another ISER on their board. Initially, there were only 2, Pune and Calcutta. The Pune director was in Calcutta, Calcutta director was in Pune. When the new ISERs came, they simply cut and pasted the ISER Calcutta, one of them. So ISER Pune director went into each one of them. So that's how I was in each one of them. And my first term was about strengthening of academics. Unlike my other colleagues who came from IIT system, who was already very well trained in academic courses, teaching, I came from the CSR system, from National Chemical Laboratory. But on my own, I used to teach quite a lot in the university. So I had interest in academics, but I was not very widely known about, how the systems would move, the whole academy, curricula, etc. So strengthening academics, that was my first challenge, which I did. State-of-art laboratories even in transit campus. The only way in which I could attract the young faculty was by showing them the state-of-art. My idea was, my dream was, the first day a faculty joins, next day you should be able to do an experiment. Some experiment. That was the kind of laboratory that I wanted to do. So knowing what it requires, we went about even without faculty establishing all the laboratories. And quality publications, of course, is very, very important. And the first steps in creating IISER brand. I said in the first slide, what are the challenges? I think the first term director, the five of us, I don't know, even I think the book what Sathyamurthy mentioned, document, creating an IISER brand is not very easy. As I said, beginners, IISc didn't have an undergraduate teaching. So after 2010, they started teaching because they felt challenged by IISER. In India, this is what happens. You start something new, somebody gets challenged. And even, I'm not sure whether they can, even IITs, their rate of recruitment of faculty went up because a lot of young faculty were joining IISER. So this is all the ripple of effect of, IISER and attracting research grants from different agencies. And everybody would say, you join a new institution, they have plenty of money, why do you want? When they apply for a grant, that's what they would do. And internationalization was one which we started very early in the first term of IISER, and we established the science education at a media center. The idea was that students should be taught how to make scientific movies. That is much more than teaching. You ask a student, can you make a 2-minute movie and send division? The students would read everything, we provide them training, and by doing that, we would understand much more about it. So my idea was that, and use that movies to teach other students. So we hired a professional, video director, etc. Established, thanks to Shishidhar, a media center. We have produced so many movies. One on S. Chandrashekar, one on Ramanujan. These all in-house made by IISER today. The biographies. The second term, 2011 to 2017, is 6 years because again there was a delay in appointing the director. So we had to get completion of the campus, and we need to get out of so-called project mode. Don't worry about that. In 2014, it was a big year for us. There was a third convocation, and the campus was dedicated to nation by President of India. We wanted to get only when all the campus, everything is functional. It was the first time also, Smriti Rani, she also visited IISER together. I think she had been education just for a couple of months or so. And it also got established as the premier research center. People started recognizing, again, because of the quality publications which come out. And we also went to ENS, Max Planck Society, all the IISER directors. We went to France, went to Germany to make those institutions aware of IISER. Today, there is a lot more awareness of IISER in many of these international things than even in India. Because 60% of or 70% of our students, 50 or BS semester, in the past, they're all straight away getting into the PhD abroad. I think yesterday I got that ENS has given a very big grant of 20,000 euros for IISERs to, each IISER to send some students, etc. Yesterday it was got approved. So we have that thing. We have Max Planck Society is so choosy, they don't sign MOU, but they only sign with all IISERs. That is a great recognition. I think we all visited, the Max Planck Institute, etc. It was a great awakening for us. How research, you see, Max Planck Society and PSAR were born on the same day, same year. Today, Max Planck Institute has 20 or 25 Nobel laureates. So, in fact, including the biology Nobel laureate, he was taken and they made an institute in his name, and that's how. That was the kind of vigorous, in which they do that. And one other thing I could say I cannot pass on is that, international, 2016 we had, I said 10 years, we had to have an international peer review. They had only peer reviewing, there was only one member from India, very famous professors, but the rest of them were all from abroad in physics, chemistry, maths, biology. They made a wonderful report, and the whole thing was directly they interacted with faculty, they gave their comments to the faculty directly, never went to the director. We have documented all those things, but it was a fantastic thing. Before I left, one other thing, nicely thing happened which came to me even as a surprise was attracting 80 crores. 80 crores in 2016 of endowment. I'm not sure whether even an IIT attracted that kind of an endowment fund in 1 year. Professor Natu was maybe instrumental in that. So we got, for example, Bajaj, they gave us 50 crores to build an 800 capacity network. Otherwise today, IISER Pune has about more than 2,000, in fact, out of the 801 for the they had never given this kind of money to any institution. We had to work very hard to get that kind of endowment. Infosys, Sathyamurthy, she just visited, went with us for 1 year. Before she left, she said, I'll give you 5 crores. Now, with that thing, for the scholarship for the needy students, for 5th year, many PhD students, they don't get scholarship, they have created a fund for that. Cipla Foundation, again, thanks to Natu, to this good, interaction with Dr. Yusuf Hamid, and we got 12 crores, and he set up a chemistry teaching lab. Now, endowments, they come, but you have to work on them. You have to understand everybody will not support for everything. So they get 12 crores. Indrani Balan, we had hired the Balan's building, for our transit campus. I was paying a huge amount of rent, almost about 50 lakhs per month rent I was paying. So close to 6 crores. We were doing for 5 years. And there was one condition saying that we had to pay 2 crores, and the ministry did not agree, giving us a advance for that. Then finally, they agreed, and they took a personal bond from me that you will recover these 2 crore back. It is your personal this thing, and without going to legal means. I gave that. So after 5 years, this man came to give back the 2 crore check. So I just made a comment, look, you are a businessman, we have left all the campus, somebody else will come and occupy your campus, and you can go on. But for us, we are in our history. Gardens building, we have spent 5 years, it is in our history. This man is only, 4th standard, he has not gone, but a very good businessman. Just looked at me and said, sir, I don't want to be part of your history. I want to be part of your future. So it really shook me, what a magnanimous thing, And then he said, you make a science learning center and give it. So within a year, 2016, we were, I think, not you remember, all these things. You have been a part of that. Okay, good. It's higher up. I go ahead. No, this happened after I left. The building came. So this is a unique thing, which happened. But why this why this kind of philanthropy? Philanthropy is very, very important, because by that time I had a building. I had academics to show them that this is what happens. So people who would come to the campus, they believe in you. I think now they have got a huge one from Mehta Foundation for the whole data science. And I will leave this international, as it happens, etc. So I will skip some of them in the thing. One of the things which I learned was, what is the metric of success? We say that we have success. What is the metric? How do you find that an institute has succeeded? We get lost in the triviality of numbers. Today, numbers become important, right? You have to ask a question instead of asking, impact factor, etc. Do the best faculty want to join you? Is your institute the first choice for the best faculty? If you had 3 choices, will we join you rather than others? Can we attract the best from anywhere? Are they able to come? Do the best want to hire our product? A product for students. Do the best want to take? These are the metrics of success. Publications, patents, application research. Should these be goals of assessment, or the so-called educated left, or the educated value that should be done? Now, in the NEP 2020, these kind of numbers have been changed. They have fixed different kinds of accreditation. In fact, I'm a part of the committee fixing a new methods of accreditation for all the things. So assessment accreditation pattern is changing now, because we should not get lost in the triviality of all these numbers, impact factor, etc. What is important is the metrics, all those numbers what you get should be a consequence of science. We should not direct your, like if I do this thing, more number of students, my number will go up. I will have this, I will have that. Many institutions have fallen into this trap. The metric of success should be a consequence. You just do what you good science you do, good practices you do, all the metrics will automatically come. But just to get those numbers and go up in the NIRF ranking, you should not unnecessarily do. So, just one, this is in the Nature Index 2017, and you can look at the IISERs as a whole. We were even higher than the University of Science, Bangalore. The Nature Index 2017, they only take about the number of publications in particular, high-profile journals identified by them. So it was very nice to see that we are above, those things in terms of ranking. The IISER as a whole, not individual IISER, all IISERs contributed. And then we are very happy at Pune that in the very first year of NIRF ranking, we, in 2017, we were ranked 29. That really was a great thing, starting from there in 2006, going through all these steps, whatever, whether you, like it, not like it, NIRF, etc. In some point of thing, there was a great satisfaction. I will take another 5-6 minutes and finish off. Now, I will not go into that. As I said, again, these are the metrics. But just to say that what all we could achieve in about 10, 11 years, and the various things, patents, this and that, publications, etc. We'll skip that. Now, everybody showed the buildings. So, this is the IISER Pune. When I left, this building had come. We have a single building for all the physics, chemistry, math, biology put together. And this is a view of the whole campus. This campus has, inside it is all lawns. There you see a cricket ground or a the football cricket ground. You see the hostels, faculty housing. It has a different architectural campus, and we also have a hill running, by. And these are various facilities created in a very very small land. So we had to go up. There were about 10 floors up. And this is the lecture hall complex, housing an auditorium, etc. That was at IISER. I don't have much to say about IISER Tirupati. I was a mentor director in 2015, and I've been very lucky to get a second opportunity. Either I did the first job properly, they said, okay, you're done it, you'll do another one, or they said, you're not done properly, we'll give you one more chance and do it better. So they gave me, go to IISER Tirupati, but as a mentor director for 2 years, so it was very easy for me to step into that because I've initiated that. Again, the usual course of transit campus, but we established it in 3 months in a transit campus in a college building within the city. But I must say that the state government was highly enabling. They gave fantastic, which I had not seen in Maharashtra, in Pune. State government, they gave the land free, water, electricity, everything was very highly enabling. But the challenge is the city infrastructure. It is a, city temple town. The kind of infrastructure is not there. And that is important because if you want to attract good faculty, 2 things become important. One is children education, school education for the faculty, and health education. These are 2 important things, on which we ourselves may not have, much to. Tirupati, unfortunately, doesn't have, good schools, etc. But still, many faculty have joined, they're finding their own solutions, etc. That's the challenge I faced there. Today, there was no problem. Building the main campus, we were 26 kilometers away from the city. But after saying, how Tirunelveli, I knew how it was built, and I was very confident that this should not be a major problem. And it's the only city with an IIT and IISER. And I used to put that. Then I realized Bhubaneswar has an IIT and IISER. They have it. So it's a great advantage. So right from the beginning, day one, in fact, both of our foundation stone was laid in the same day. So IIT director and IISER director, we have developed a whole new model for IIT IISER, sharing of facilities, not duplicating equipment. So many things, school, medical facilities, faculty sharing, courses. It's entirely in a different plane. So there is something different which happened in IISER Tirupati. We have to do that because we have 1,000 students, but we have only 49 faculty. Last 4 years have been struggling. I think same thing with other IISERs. So we are unable to start any new courses, etc. We can just run the bread and butter courses. Hopefully, one of these, But whichever faculty we have, very well balanced in terms of area. Now, this is a slide which I always show that we have a principle of research and a x-axis is teaching. For teaching, you require basic disciplines, physics, chemistry, biology, maths, and climate. But for research, they become interdisciplinary. So it's a cloud concept, we have, when it goes to research, we should not classify as chemistry, biology, and maths, but, material science, bioinformatics, synthetic biology. So here, they're like clouds. They go across, different disciplines. And so this is the way we would like to build, or we have been doing that. Now, one of the things which is not known was that Tirupati is known only for Balaji temple. Nobody had recognized that. About a couple of years back, when we sat down, we found that we have an IISER Tirupati IIT, but we have the only industry we have in Tirupati is Amar Raja, which make Amron batteries, which are 40% of Indian electrical thing. It's a great thing for energy. There is a very peculiar institute called Indian Culinary Institute, which trains caterers, etc. So what we did was with IIT and IISER right from the day one, we started, we have got a common center for energy, center for plant sciences, center for, optical and molecular physics. These are run by, the faculty are combining together. And then with Amar Raja, we have got a center for energy. We have Professor Vijay Mohan, who is one of the best energy person. So this is, how do you take care of local institutions to build your brand? So we have done that. And we have agricultural university. Today morning I was talking to the biologists. So IISER, IIT and agricultural university, we have started precision agriculture in plant sciences area. And we also have Venkateshwara University. And along with the University of Melbourne, we have adopted a college called PKV and Government College, and the IISER system is being implemented in a college. See how many IISERs can country make? So all the good practices we have, how much we can transfer to a college, that we are doing along with Melbourne University, who came up with the idea. In fact, we have trained the students. They do students come and train the faculty how to teach. We are giving them a syllabus. They are running a 4-year, blended along with Venkatesh University, and recognized that we have done that. And then we have an excellent medical institute, SWIMS, with whom we are, for the cancer and for some of the neurosciences, we are collaborating. We get the clinical data, etc. from that. And so we are taking care of, in fact, Tirupati is blessed with having a Rashtriya Sanskrit Vidyapeeth, is a Sanskrit university. So for this Indian traditional knowledge, which is now becoming, we are running joint courses. They also give Sanskrit, course. They administer in IISER Tirupati. And then we have Padmavati University for language and music arts. So whatever we cannot do that, we are doing that. There's a private university, Kriya, which is very good in humanities and social sciences. We are signed with them. And so that is how we have taken care of the local things and built up Tirupati as an educational hub that is being developed. Now, this is the architect's thing. We have a land which is spread in three. You see a highway. On the left-hand side is also faculty housing. On the right-hand side, there's one more road again. Our main campus is coming. And we have beautiful water bodies around that. And this is, we have created, the first campus, the IISER, very small structure. The students' hostel, what you see, I think the next one is better. So here you see this on the left-hand side. We have got an undergraduate lab. Sathyamurthy recently visited, and Natu also visited. We have got a UG lab block in which about 300 students can do practicals at a time. Physics, chemistry, biology, 100 each. So morning, 300, afternoon, 300. For 600 students in a single day, we can run practical courses. I don't know whether anybody else has that kind of a high throughput, undergraduate lab. Very, very modern lab. And the students' housing has come, so this is already functional. We have a PhD hostel, final capacity UG hostels. These things will be ready. They're in the final stages. Our plant science group have already shifted to the campus because we wanted them to contribute to the campus. 2 slides. Everybody talks about world-class institution. World-class institution. You can become a first name. What does it require? As Professor Natu mentioned, it's not the building, it's not the equipment, it's not the state-of-the-art laboratories. You have to have all these things. They're important. Of course, these are a must. Without that. But what is important is the quality of the minds, the world-class minds, faculty and students, sustainably working. And I always come back to faculty. They are the ones who will lay the future of our institution. Essential requirements is you must have standing people, faculty and students. Commitment to high-quality education. You have to have pedagogy. Just by research institution, you cannot build up international team. Pedagogy is the most important. Most universities, we know, California, Berkeley, Stanford, everything, they all place very high emphasis on teaching. That's the important thing. And focus on research excellence at international level. Everything has to be international one. Most important thing is, which we lack in India, is sustainable funding. We all get funding to establish institute. Later on, nobody cares. And we won't get money to maintain them. But sustainable funding is very, very important to ensure excellence and access. And we have to be having international peer review. That's very, very important. And endowment. So these are actually the hallmarks of world class. When it comes to sustainable funding, unfortunately, we don't have much philanthropy. I sort of showed you how Bajaj gave that. These are very rare cases. In abroad universities, even an assistant professor will have a chair sponsored by one of the things, etc. That's not the case here. If you have too much money, you start your own institute. That's the Indian philosophy. So philanthropy is urgent in India. If you have that philanthropy, you can attract great professors, by giving additional things and build cutting-edge facilities. All that is, very, very important. So excellence in universities has a cost. Unfortunately, either the government or anybody does not pay. Excellence, there is a cost. Without paying that cost, how can you be excellent? That's very, very important. And for the young faculty, there's one separate 1 hour lecture I have is how to balance your teaching. I will skip this thing. I only want to mention one name, Caroline Bertozzi. How important is undergraduate teaching is Caroline Bertozzi. Her idea of getting this trained alkyne, for the quick reaction, came from the undergraduate student. The lecture she was giving, was talking about cyclo addition, etc. All the students gave that idea. There are several cases where undergraduate teaching has helped people get ideas in research. very, very important. So I will skip this thing. And so the brand IISER, which in the first two terms, the director created, it's taken a lot of time. It's not been easy for us against all the other institutions that we have. So I will skip that again. So the final slide is the dilemma of today's education and leadership is that everybody wants to raise the bar, jump up, jump up, jump up. But the stick which is given to you to jump, that is being cut. How do you do that? And I remember Vinod Singh also used to say that our hands are all tried and we are asked to win a marathon race. That's a dilemma. Unless this changes, things cannot happen. So this book you've already seen, the story of IISER. I think maybe this could be used as a chapter for a social science course or something like that. But I just want to say that the foreword, written by Professor C.N.R. Rao, and it says that I hope and pray that IISER will excel in teaching as well as in research in the years to come, and they are indeed the hope of science in India. So this has this content. Each one of us have written our own experience. Maybe now I think we should bring a second volume or edition, etc. for this. With this thing, I thank you, and if I take more time, I apologize. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ganesh. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Professor T.K. Chandrashekar. He's renowned for his remarkable contributions to the field of inorganic chemistry of biomolecules. He obtained his PhD from IISc Bengaluru in 1982. After postdoctoral research experience at University of Massachusetts, Boston, Michigan State University, and University of Cologne, Germany, he joined IIT Kanpur in 1986. He became the director of National Institute for Interdisciplinary Science and Technology, NIST, Thiruvananthapuram, in 2003. In 2008, he became the founding director of NIISER Bhubaneswar. In 2013, Professor Chandrashekar took charge as the Secretary of Science and Engineering Research Board, SERB. His honors include the Shanti Swaroop Bhatnagar Award, J.C. Bose National Fellowship, and Professor P. Ray Memorial Award. He's a fellow of the Indian Academy of Sciences, Indian National Science Academy, National Academy of Sciences, and the World Academy of Sciences. Thank you very much, Professor Chandrashekar.
Thank you very much for the nice introduction. Let me begin by thanking Sathyamurthy, Director IISER TVM, for inviting me here to celebrate your 14th Foundation Day. This is my third visit to IISER TVM. First time when I came to the project campus where Professor Ganesh invited me to be in the syllabus committee. The next time I came when the campus was being built, Ramakrishnan invited me to give a lecture in the department. So I came to see the campus, which was almost 1/3 built at that time. And this is my third visit. Yesterday we had a chance of seeing the beautiful campus. We were very impressed. So I would take this opportunity to thank all the directors, faculty of IISER TVM, staff of IISER TVM for their contribution in building such a beautiful campus. With this, I don't have any slides, so I'll be very brief. I will begin my journey of NIISER. In 2008, 7 December, I was the director of NIST Trivandrum in Thiruvananthapuram here, and we had a conference where Professor C.N.R. was there. In the dinner in the evening time in residency towers Upload, he called me, C.N.R. called me in a corner and asked, "Hey, come here, this DIE is building this new institute. I would like you to take over this institute as a director." I did not know what to say, yes or no. I was just, I just kept quiet. And then after dinner, he again talked to me, "Okay, tomorrow morning, Papa will call you. He will I'm sorry. So next day morning, I received a call from Comforter's office that he's inviting me to Bombay to meet him in his office 2 days after that for a discussion meeting. And I went there to Bombay discussion meeting. He said that Prime Minister wants an institute like IISER in Bhubaneswar, and there are no MHRD institutes in Odisha at that time. Therefore, he has asked Department of Energy to take over this institute, and this Institute of Physics, which is a DA unit in Bhubaneswar, will be the mentoring institute. And then he gave me the offer letter without even asking me to accept it or not. So I said yes, I'll take over and all that. But I was much luckier than what these my colleague directors, IISER directors described their journey. Because when I went to Bhubaneswar, the DPR of IISER was almost ready and it was approved by the ministry. 957 crores, 250 faculty, 70 technical staff, and 85 administrative staff are already sanctioned. I had to make only the appointments. And then IOP is a very small institute. There's not much teaching there. It's a research institute. Then I went there and talked to the IOP director. Where do I sit? He said, this is an interesting question. I had not thought about it. But there is a girls' student hostel just nearby, and they have a basement parking. So we can make a small building, 4 walls, and sit in the parking lot. So we built a small room for director and purchased this thing, and we started working from that particular basement parking lot. Then the major challenge for me was to create these academic programs as well as the syllabus. So I was just looking around. Next door there's a local university. So I had some friends who are retired professors. Like Sathyamurthy mentioned, I requested AC Dash and some few other people who are going to help me in this thing. And also, since I am from IT Kanpur, my colleagues Dr. Walter and Arvind A came to initiate the teaching program. It went on well, and then we didn't have enough space because IOP is a very small institute. Only there are 2 lecture halls. So in the next door to Utkal University, my colleague from IT Kanpur was the vice chancellor. So I told him that do you have any rooms to lend us? He said you can come in the evening and you can use our lecture halls. So we used to take students in the evening to the Utkal University lecture halls by bus and started our teaching program. And where to house the students? That's another problem. And at that time, I was asked to go meet the chief minister as a courtesy call. So I went to CM's office with an appointment, went with a flower bouquet, and then I introduced myself and this thing. And he was so nice person. He said, Chandrashekar, this is not the way to come and meet me. You should come to my house in the evening and have a drink with me. This is what he said. And I was really surprised, the chief minister so humble and all that. And he really helped IISER and IIT to really come up with those issues. Very proactive. Every 6 months, he used to call a progress meeting of IISER and IIT, and then call all the government secretaries. And then he used to ask us what is the problem we are facing. Tell us. So we used to say water is not coming, power is not there. Immediately he used to solve the problem. So with this real help from him, we were able to build a campus within 3 years of my joining in IISER. And even the IISER contract was very interesting. We had the money sanctioned, money was in the bank. So Kakkadkar was the AE chairman at that time. So Kakkadkar came to Bhubaneswar and see Bhubaneswar has a very nice architecture. So your building should be matching with the Bhubaneswar culture, Odisha culture. So we had to have a good builder who can build this campus. Then I had talked to some of my IISER friends. thing in government is not allowed. You have to go to CPWD. This is who told you. Then he said, we will. Then he asked me next day you come to Bombay with me, and we went to. I went to Bombay with him, and he took me to L&T chairman A.M. Naik at the time. We went to his office, and he said that we have a new institute coming up. The budget is about 750 crores for the construction. You should help us. For L&T, 750 crores is not a much money. So we requested him to apply for our tender. Then the another problem was that when you advertise a tender, all contractors will apply. So he said we'll do a trick. In the tender advertisement, he said we will put a condition, but only people who have completed one project worth more than 700 crores should only apply, eligible for applying for this. So this made this small contractors not eligible. So only three big persons, one is Sapurji Palanji and Nagarjuna Construction and L&T applied for this thing. And fortunately, L&T was the lowest, L1. So we followed all the rules. And we gave a contract to L&T and explained to them urgency and need. And they are very good at testing. We had a very good experience with L&T. In 3 years, they were able to build the whole compass of 275,000 meters building. So I had built 11 student hostels. Of few of them are 200 capacity, few of them are 400 capacity. So we had a hostel facility for about 2,500 students already built in campus, and we have 75 faculty houses built. So that way I was a bit luckier than the other colleagues from IISER, where everything was on the platter and you had to just keep on moving. Then our academic program started hiring faculty. Hiring faculty was a big challenge because Bhubaneswar is not one of those attractive places compared to the Pune or Bombay or Delhi. Therefore, again, there are problems of two-body problems where both husband and wife were qualified to become faculty. So, but we went through all these things, and some of them we accommodated, able to attract reasonably good faculty, and then then they were asking, sir, how much money I get for my research. Fortunately, DAE at that time I had about 350 crores for the R&D budget. So I said, okay, whatever you tell me, give me your list. So most of them were under 2 crores, 3 crores, 5 crores. So I approved everything, and they were very happy. They all joined, started working, and it was a smooth going for me. After that, we had built buildings, we had partitions done, and everything was going on. And at that time, in 2012, we thought about expanding the IISER departments, because we had only physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, and humanities. Papa told me, why don't you bring in computer science? And why don't you bring in earth and environmental sciences? So I said, okay, then I took Maninder Agrawal's help from IIT Kanpur to recruit few faculty in computer science. We started the computer science department, and then we also started environmental department hiring faculty. So right now we have about 175 faculty in place in IISER Bhubaneswar, and about 7,000 students in campus, including both BSMS as well as the PhD students. And we had more hostels than what we required. And then my neighbor IIT director came to know about it. But IISER Bhubaneswar has empty hostels, which is newly built. So he came and met me, why don't you give us your hostels for 2 years till ours is built. Then I told him I do not have any objection personally, but I have to take the permission from DAE for this. So I went to Bombay, and then at that time the DAE chairman has changed. That was Dr. Sinha was the chairperson. And then he said, the typical bureaucratic way, how can we do that? What is the guarantee that they leave and go away and all that? So I convinced him that don't worry, sir, they are also building a nice campus. It's only for temporary 2 years. And finally, we agreed and we had an agreement, and we rented our hostels to the IIT students. And then the IIT again director said, "See, you don't have enough faculty in basic sciences. Why don't your faculty can come and teach also our courses, or we will send our students to IISER and they will attend the courses." I agreed for that. So 2 years, we in addition to our own students, we were teaching first year courses of IT, basic sciences courses for IT students, and I used to combine them and do that. Then I told in the original plan, there was no scope for building a big lecture hall complex. There are lecture halls in the department, but there's no separate lecture hall complex. Then I made a proposal to DAE that we need about 75 crores to do this, and it was immediately approved. And we built a nice lecture hall complex where we have different lecture halls of 700 capacity, 500 capacity, 400 capacity, so that we can really build a campus. So my journey was not as difficult as my other colleagues. I had a very smooth run, and I completed my 5 years in 2013. Then my other colleague, Dr. Chandrashekar, came as the director, and I had to conclude everything. So this is a brief story of IISER, where IISER is now having 175 faculty, about 7,000 students, doing on well. They are on expansion mode. Hopefully, they'll also come up in the coming years. With this, I once again wish IISER Thiruvananthapuram all the best for their future endeavors. I'm sure that under the leadership of Murthy, this institute will really prosper and will be one of the institutions in the coming years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Chandrashekar. It's humbling to welcome Padma Shri Professor Vinod K. Singh. Professor Singh obtained his PhD from Malcolm Research Center, Nandesari, Baroda in 1986. Following postdoctoral research experience from University of Calgary, University of British Columbia, and Harvard University in the Canada and USA, he joined IIT Kanpur in 1990. He is renowned for his contribution in synthetic organic chemistry. Professor Singh became the founding director of IISER Bhopal in 2008 and guided its growth for a decade. His honors include the Padma Shri in 2014, Shanti Swaroop Bhatnagar Award, J.C. Bose National Fellowship, and Swarna Jayanti Fellowship. He is a fellow of the Indian Academy of Sciences, Indian National Science Academy, the National Sciences of Academy of Sciences, and the World Academy of Sciences. Thank you, Professor Singh.
Thank you for the introduction. At the outset, I would like to thank Murthy for the invitation. I also like to convey my wishes on the 14th Foundation Day of IISER TVM. Felicitation to all the students, faculty of IISER TVM. This is my 4th visit to IISER TVM, and most of the time I had come with friends who were here. 2 times when Ganesh was director. Third time in Ramakrishna was director, and then the 4th time. Everything has been said, and I know everyone is tired. I assure you, I will not take more time that is allotted by Murthy. This IISER is a little. I never believed in IISER. I always used to think, at time I was young also, one IISER can run in one IIT. Give more money, if government gives more money. And sometimes I cut jokes, and cut joke in a manner that people who listen, they become angry with me, and they start hating me. And that happens quite good number of times. unless people know. And I remember in the guest house of IISER IT Kanpur, Sushant Datta Gupta was very angry with me because I made some comment. I asked him question, why do we need IISER? I didn't mean the question. I just wanted answers. Anyway, uh, I got a letter that I've been appointed director of IISER Bhopal in early June. I went joined on 12th June 2008. I saw Bhopal, nothing was there, no particular, very difficult situation. I came back, I forgot about IISER Bhopal, 10 days almost. And somebody, DC reminded somebody, you have to go there. Otherwise, because it was reluctant from soft place, cushion place from IT Kanpur going to there. But anyway, things started and we built IISER Bhopal in 7 years, 8 years. When I was leaving Kanpur to join IISER Bhopal, Mr. Dhande, IT Kanpur is a unique place. I did not have relieving letter. फिर आप join करिए relieving letter पहुंच जाएगा. So I joined IISER Bhopal. Where do you join? I gave a letter to my chairman, and I got my relieving letter, of course, backdated later on. He said, एक मेरा सुझाव है कि बिल्डिंग को आप CPWD को मत दीजिएगा. And I assure you, I think I knew CPWD, but I did not know the words BWC, board, nothing. The only thing, I was board member of IIT Guwahati as a professor. I had just become, so attended a meeting. I had a chance to see board agenda. Anyway, we built the campus, and when I went there, land was not there. So the land, there are two options. I picked up this land because 10-minute drive from the airport. Not a single shrub in the area. No plant, nothing else, no out of stone. And those days, whenever we meet in ministry, chemists will talk about IISER Trivandrum campus, elephant, and all kinds of adjectives used to use. Although I never saw any elephant so far, anytime. But no. So because if somebody talks about problem in the campus, then I used to be quiet, because if I stay second person start talking about the problem, then the person gets irritated. So I never talked about the problem, but the campus, the land was very bad. Lot of stones. We have CPWD person. Excavation cost is much more than you can imagine. And when you tender it, most of the contractors used to leave because our engineer, the rate was determined that based on how much excavation can be done, and it's very difficult. So it was difficult time. We built the campus. Not only built the campus, we closed the project sometime 2017 end. And from 2018, we went our yearly budget now. One thing I like to mention, if anybody wants to go in administration, one should go only if one wants to put in energy, time, not to keep their family elevated in whatever way you understand, because you are actually wasting taxpayers' money. And I believe that administration requires two things, especially building institutions. Only two things. Both are simple but very difficult to achieve: common sense and boldness. And when I roam around, I find efficiency of both these. Murthy, when you mentioned the TA bill is reimbursed in 2 days' time, 3 days' time, which is very nice. I think that's the way every institution should work. If my TA bill is not reimbursed from anywhere on time, I hold Director Vice Chancellor responsibility. IISER Bhopal was built. Of course, in the beginning, I was the founding director or director additional charge of School of Planning and Architecture Bhopal for 2 years, and also IISER Barhampur 2 years. I was the. In fact, we remember we wrote our act also. I basically not act, sorry, statute. No, act is statute. We all 5 of us wrote, and we had Shalendra Kumar. He changed little bit here, then, and finally got it approved so that we can give degree. What I'm going to tell you, couple of only stories, which nowhere is written. Unfortunately, I cannot write it. I can speak. And I thought that is why I don't have any slides, because when you talk about IISERs, people come in emotions. You saw Ganesh, then you forget time. Time just passes by. So, कहते हैं ना, दुश्मन घर में ही होता है. I always tell high school kids, your worst, your enemy is your parents. Enemy बाहर नहीं होता. And there's a reason. Of course, my statement is little very hard, but I can prove it. Because we don't let our kids become independent. 12th का एग्जाम देना, माँ बाप जाके ड्राफ्ट बनवाएंगे, फॉर्म जमा करेंगे. Why can't kids go to bank and get the draft? Station छोड़ने जाएंगे. Why can't kids go alone to station? And I assure you, I have never done. I have never gone to drop my daughter and son, and I have never gone to bank for the draft. So you have to become independent. I remember postal condition was very bad. Transit campus. If I tell you, हमें bathroom के लिए bucket से पानी डालना होता था, water was not there. It's a temporary, just for urinal something created, not the only for susu, not the hard one actually. So that you can see the condition was very bad. And outside the general toilet, I don't think I have gone couple of times by closing my eyes. You cannot have eye open and use the bathroom. Lot of other problems. If you talk about problem, students have difficult time. एक hall में 20 रह रहे हैं, कैसे रह रहे थे पता नहीं. And we had some warden and all that. एक बार दो लड़कियां जो हैं, they must have gone somewhere, had a glass of wine. Security guys, they become very strict. Warden become very strict. If they were boarding bus, security guy asked them, सीधी line में चलो. They, because of fear, they must have not followed the line. उनको complain आया, book आया. And I called security person, warden. They had gone somewhere, had a glass of wine. हमने बोला ये wine नहीं पिएंगे तो कौन पिएगा? If they don't drink wine, who will drink wine? Because you have to understand the condition people were living in. Nothing is there. Plus, if you don't drink wine, how economy is going to grow? This one story I tell you. Second story, again I have only picked up one or two, so that students, for student interest. We had very tough warden. All were assistant professor faculty. And they forgot that they were also students sometimes. So one thing I have, कि आपको बकरा भी काटना है, काटिए, रूल से काटिए, so that you don't get into trouble. So all rule book, everything, what you call manuals, we had prepared right in the beginning and follow the manual and then the board, and then nobody bothers if you follow the manual. So right from store purchase. Similarly, hostel also has rules, regulations. उन्होंने rule बनाया कि if any alcohol bottle is found in anybody's room, they will be punished 1,000 rupees. And they started punishing one or two. When it comes to my knowledge, I called all those young wardens. I said, what kind of stupid rule you have made? Smart people like Ganesh will drink and put the bottle in somebody else's room, empty bottle. They are talking about empty bottle. So, yeah. So we are talking about you find empty bottle. Then I told them, it is their room. They have a right to do what they want to do. You should not do policing. If they create a nuisance, something happened. Anyway, very, very difficult time to run institution. Everybody was young, but it was wonderful experience, and I must like to thank uh, Sathyamurthy, Ganesh. Whatever help I got, I have got it. One small story I'll tell you. When I joined, I didn't have money. I spent 2-3 lakh my personal money. As Sati mentioned, I had Vayu laptop which I used. No internet in the building for almost 6 months or 8 months. So his registrar used to like me a lot. Sathyamurthy registrar. He came from IIT Kanpur, AP Singh. Without asking, he used to speak like this, you know. So I said, okay, send me 5. Oh, why 5 lakhs? Take 10 lakhs. So he sent me 10 lakhs. I borrowed money. I had to return it, of course. So this is the way life went on. Before the first board meeting, I borrowed money from IISER Mohali. It's not that money, it's not government problem, mistake. Because in order to get money, you have to have account. In order to open account, you need 2 people, and I was only one. Then I had to convince some director. There was one MHRD institute, MNIT. So the director I convinced, he was reluctant because again, courage. Large number of people don't sign. Head or dean आपको देखिएगा, they take a lot of time to sign because they are scared. So courage and common sense both are very important, and this is the way life went and campus was built. There were a lot of stories. It was very difficult to build the campus. 200-acre land, but 60-acre land has still pahad kind of. And around 30-acre land, I think curing was there, and around 50 laborers were living there. They had electricity connection. Land was allotted. Okay. Boundary was built, but they were inside the boundary wall. And they broke the boundary. We couldn't build the boundary wall because some litigation and all that. Finally, it was very difficult to move, and we know IT Kanpur campus that village people can come inside and all that. I realized if I don't solve the problem, next generation is going to give me gali because I'll leave in 5 years, 10 years. I talked to DM, nothing happened. He talked SDM, then I had a good relation with bureaucrats. I don't know why, but I did have. So DM said, "Sir, आप ऐसा करिए कि you can provide a space. Relocation करा देंगे. You have to spend some money." At that time, IISER was not in city, municipality, in the village. So Gram Pradhan has to approve everything. And you know how Gram Pradhan does those things. Kamukha and all that. So I spent 27 lakhs rupees to relocate these things. Registrar came, said, how do I? Said, first do it. I have enough money in Provident Fund which I can pay in case there is a problem. And we had to lure those people to move. So Pradhan, not a middleman in India is very difficult. You know, you'll find that people, I think 47 lakhs, not 27 lakhs. It was big amount. This is 2008 I'm talking about. And we relocated them. We kept on asking money. They became greedy. We gave money without any receipt. Only they gave receipt in kacha kagaz. That's not valid to ask any account person. Finally, before March, I'm only worried. I'm never worried till February. Only till 31st March I'm worried. Anyway, we went to Finance Committee, BWC also we went. They said I should be given Nobel Prize. Because these days you cannot relocate people who have got electric connection. So politicians also were involved because of vote bank. Finally, they were relocated, and our campus became right campus. Boundary wall, difficult to build boundary wall. I told people because it was sub judice. I cannot tender it. IISER was reluctant. I said, 2 meter धीरे-धीरे बनाते रहो. Nobody will notice. Because you 2 meter ban gaya, so I tell you today the whole boundary wall is there. Okay. So this is a very, very long story. So to build a campus requires a lot of, um, uh, courage and common sense. And since we are doing in-house construction, so expenditure were actual. When construction is done, the bills come, then only I can submit the expenditure, which was very difficult. Of course, one good thing is all five of us were together. Used to, we may fight, disagree with the end. We are able to convince any problem. We are able to convince ministry. I don't think we ever had any problem with respect to money and other things. Berhampur came. Berhampur, I wrote DPR. There were a lot of issues. Ministry uses somebody to write DPR. They know nothing about it. But boundary wall got built. And then after new director was appointed and joined the place. But I have never been invited to Berhampur. I never went there. I don't know how it is. But I know, as Sati mentioned about the campus, when Berhampur campus becomes ready, it will be one of the few best campuses. Because in life, you need only 2 things, mountain and water. And it will be like Kesar campus near the sea. Provided it is built properly. And like you see, IISER TVM, I was so happy to see the campus by end of the night. Looks beautiful. I watch my eyes actually, when I'm there, I always look around that. Because I forgotten chemistry, the only thing I understand is construction. And I must congratulate Murthy for doing an outstanding job. I don't use outstanding very often, by the way. I'm very rarely use outstanding. And I tell you, I take 2 minutes. IIT became brand name. Of course, it had good faculty, but no infrastructure, no research facility, alumni. I would like all of you, all students, try to bring glory to IISER. If you lack money, and money is very important. When I left IISER Bhopal, 2008, 2018, September, I had created a 60 crore endowment. It was there. But don't ask me where money came from. And I had got all the audit done. All of us had got it. You know, there are 3 kinds of audit. One is account audit, expenditure audit, and audit. 10 years audit was done so that next director doesn't have any problem. So the whole exercise is done so that next person has a peaceful time. And the last thing I like to stress upon, governance is very, very important. In our country, institutions are built. It never gets governed because only top men want to take a call. Only director wants to approve your leave and everything. It must be decentralized. All heads and deans should take a decision. The delegation of power must be there, and that is the way. I don't know about the IT Madras, but that I know IT Kanpur and IT Bombay works that. With this, thank you, Murthy. I enjoyed being in IISER TVM. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Singh. Now is the time to facilitate an important guest who has played a central role in the development of our campus. Please allow me to first read the director's letter of appreciation before I invite the director to bestow the honor. The architect of our beautiful landscape spaces in the IISER Trivandrum campus is Sri Jairamaya, a horticulturist with an intense passion for making academic campuses aesthetically beautiful with flora. He is imaginary and is endowed with innate talent and skill to convert any terrain into an alluring landscape. Sri Jairamaya's ability to quickly grasp the taste of community and his penchant to design and create ecosystems with the right combination of plants that are completely aligned with specific site requirements are qualities that distinguish him from several others. The campus is dotted with trees, shrubs, hedges, flowers, and well crafted lawns with special attention to the physical features of the landscape. The attention to detail and careful planning are evident in the choice of plants at different locations. While the slopes have been stabilized with soil binding ground covers, the undulating topography near the central instrumentation facility and the academic areas have plants of varying textures, shapes, and colors in densely planted clusters, providing a stunning visual backdrop. The Students' Park and the Students' Lounge are Instagrammable spots with scores of pictures taken against the beautiful landscape created by Sri Jairamaya. The Institute has been a constant beneficiary of the vast experience and selfless services of Sri Jairamaya for over 3 years now. What needs specific mention here is the entire campus beautification work was executed by Sri Jairamaya during the pandemic period. Despite this, every landscaping assignment has been completed on time only because of Sri Jairamaya's systematic planning, personal involvement, continuous monitoring during execution, and effective management of logistics, time, people, plants, and finances. The erosion-prone, rugged, excavated landscape of IISER Thiruvananthapuram, with only steel and concrete buildings against the backdrop of the Ponmudi Hills, is now an enchanting campus filled with plants and flowers of various colors and hues. Thank you, Sri Jairamaya, for transforming this campus with beautiful landscapes that truly complement and reflect the character and ethos of IISER Thiruvananthapuram and all its people. By our director, Professor J.N. Murthy. I now invite our director to bestow the honor to Sri Jairamaya.
I think we listened to a lot of stories, and what has emerged is how much basically goes behind creating a campus that we really can call a campus. In fact, as soon as I came here, one of the things that I was really fraught with very seriously was how do I make this rubble into everywhere construction, materials scattered. There's not anything. I was really, really, really bothered. And I was looking around for somebody, some nursery person, to go about basically planting the trees first because it takes time. And, JNCSR, I don't know how many of you have seen. I think Professor Rao and Professor Ganesh have a unique, I don't know what to call, eye for art for creating the campuses. That's how basically that you see, IISER Pune being very, very nice. Particularly JNCSR is very good. You will see like whatever that you think that should be there is there. And I wanted to find out who is this person who has done something. Then somehow I could manage his telephone number because I come from Bangalore and I can speak the language that he speaks. And moreover, to get Kannadigas out of Karnataka is not easy because these are very, 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 people that would not like to move out of their own state. And to get him to Tirunanthapuram once in a while was not easy. When I contacted him, in fact, no matter how much we pay, there's really no compensation to this simple man. He's not somebody who wants money. He simply he takes pleasure in creating something for the happiness of us. There's nothing that we have virtually paid to him. I think in a heartfelt way, I truly want to embrace him for making our campaign. speaking of, and I think we have already run out of time, really run out of time. But then, I have to do my honors, right? I think we invited these eminent people who shared their, wisdom with us. There's no question. There's an arduous task in bringing up any campus. Scientists become builders and forget even the practicing science, as Professor V.K. Singh said. There are many factors that come into picture. It's not only about basically building structures. There's something else, academic management, academic prudence, governance, nurturance of the student community that we hire, and creating an image. And it's not easy. In the process, if you turn out being really happy, having faculty that support you, I think Professor Ganesh mentioned about it. These are faculty are the drivers of this institution. But otherwise, I believe that there are three wings for any organization to prosper. Is the faculty, of course, no question about it. But at the same time, there has to be administrative structure. Without that, no matter how much you do, you cannot progress.